Greetings and welcome back to my dinner table. Welcome back to Pasta with Pasta. Thank you very much for all the comments on the last video, which was the first one. I will continue to make these as you seem to enjoy them, and I already had a request last week, which is by AndiReySim. Thank you very much, Andy. I will not make exactly what you requested. I went for a different kind of pasta, but the same sauce. Today we are making spaghetti with pesto alla Genovese. So Andy requested gnocchi with pesto, but I had a craving for spaghetti, so I made that instead. Sorry, Andy. At least I can show you how to make the pesto. So let's go ahead and let me show you what materials and ingredients you need. Okay, today in terms of material, we will need a cutting board and a sharp big knife. We will need a cheese grinder, or you can just cut it, but that's tedious work, so cheese grinder is a little bit easier. We need a teaspoon and a tablespoon. We will need a sieve for the pasta later. For the pasta we will need a pot with a lid. For the pignolia in the pesto we will need a frying pan, preferably non-sticky. And for the pesto we will need a plastic pot with a lid. This one's 0.75 liter, that should be enough for this recipe. And that's basically it. So let's see what ingredients we actually need. Right, ingredients. Normally the pesto alla Genovese doesn't have that many ingredients, but well, it's always good to have a big pot of basil, and it doesn't fit into the camera, so yeah, we will need a lot of basil, fresh basil preferably. So if you have a pot of it and grow it yourself, perfect. We will need some olive oil. Very important that it's olive oil and that it's high quality, because otherwise it will taste, well, horribly. We will need some Italian cheese. You can use Parmesan, Grana Padano and Pecorino. Any of those three is good. A good quality here is also important. We will need pignolia. We will need some garlic. Yummy garlic. And for seasoning we will need a very little bit of salt and pepper. And that's basically it. The rest is a lot of tedious work, so let's get going. Welcome back to my stove. Well, most of the work will be done here today. I have the basil, at least a big handful. And what I have to do now is get the little leaves of it, wash them all and then dry them. So I will do this off camera because, yeah, tedious work. And I'll be right back with you when we can start roasting the pignolia. So, see you then. While the basil is drying, I washed it, so it looks like this now. And it's a little bit moist, so I want to let it dry a bit more. I will get the cutting board, the cheese grinder and some more stuff. And we'll start preparing the other ingredients. So first of all, the cheese. Very important. We need about 70 grams of it, and we need it grinded. So yeah, I found it to be I found a somewhat trick how to do the grinding a bit easier, and you need a freezer bag for that. Take the freezer bag. Come here, you. And take a bit of cheese. And then you put the cheese grinder like this into the freezer bag. And whilst you're grinding the cheese, nothing will float out. Because I hate to clean afterwards, so yeah, I can do the grinding like this. The surroundings stay somewhat clean. And I have the grinded cheese already in a bag to use it. So, win-win situation, I suppose. Right, I will grind the cheese until I have 70 grams, and yeah, I'll be right back with you after some more tedious work. Right, I do now have more than enough of grinded cheese, and it's a little bit more than I need, but I can take the rest on top of the pasta later. So let's put that aside for now. Put the cheese grinder aside. The knife we will need later. The little cheese rinds away. In terms of the other ingredients, I already measured 120 or a quarter, not a quarter, an eighth of a liter of olive oil we will need later. And I already prepared 4 garlic cloves. So we'll cut them right now. So we want to get rid of the ends of the garlic because, well, that tastes a bit wooden, and we don't want that. Of course, you don't need to use as much garlic as I do. I just found with this recipe that there were 4 cloves of garlic, and since I like garlic, I am quite alright with that. So now we need to peel the garlic. Ew. Yeah. And little wooden bits like this we want to get rid of because they don't taste right. The rest of this aside. Make the garlic naked. There we go. Boop, boop, and a boop. Right, let me get rid of the rubbish and be right back with you in a second. Right, clean cutting board so we can cut the garlic. We don't want to put it through a garlic press because the little cells in the garlic clove, they will rip apart if you put it into a press. If you cut it in very, very tiny pieces, those won't be ripped apart, and your breath won't smell as bad. It will smell, of course, because, well, it's garlic, but not as bad, so hooray for that. What I'm now doing is cut the garlic into little slices, so afterwards I can make some nice stripes. Although with this much garlic I can better, yeah, let's do it like this. Just a little bit of cutting, and that is a good thing to have. Now it's a good thing to have a very big knife, so you can do things like these. Oh, I love this smell. I really, really love this smell. Smell of cutted garlic. Mmm, yum, 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 yum. I hope you like garlic. If not, well, this might not be the dish for you. And you will be quite happy that there is no smell-o-vision yet. So, yeah. Let me cut this into very, very tiny pieces and then get right back with you. Alright, garlic, very fine cut, 4 cloves of it. Tedious work. Although, alright, so I'll need my plastic pot right now, and I can put the garlic in there. I don't need to do anything else with it. Yeah. And the last bits. Right. Let's put this aside again and get rid of the last pieces of garlic. Right, we will need the knife and the cutting board later, so I will just put it away for now. And after I've washed my hands and prepared a little bit, I can show you how to roast the pignolia. Alright, roasting the pignolia. First of all, I have my pan right here. We don't need any oil, fat or anything else. I will just put the pignolia into the pan. I will need something to stir them around, and of course I need to turn my stove on. So I will only put it on like 2/3 of the power. So if you're using a gas stove, do it on a very small heat level because they tend to burn very easily. So as far as I heard, you have to stir them quite often, and once they get a little bit of color, they are mostly done, and they will smell very they will have a nice scent to them once they are getting a little bit of color. So you know they are more or less done. And I've missed one. There we go. Okay. Stirring around. And okay, the thing is on. So now I just hope I don't burn them, because this is the first time I ever roast pignolia, or I roast anything ever. So let's hope this turns out alright-ish. I really hope it does. And afterwards we still have to cut them. So yeah, the tedious work isn't done yet. They start to give a nice scent, but they don't gotten very much color yet. I think the first, yeah, I see a little bit darker browns, although this might be a little bit of the default brown. I don't know. As I said, first time I ever do this, so hooray for that. Thank you, Andy. Yeah, thank you, Andy, for your request. I've never done a pesto before, so I had to look up how to do it. I knew more or less the ingredients, so yeah, but I had to look up a little bit of stuff, and I'm quite happy I can try this finally. So hooray for that. Yep, it's still warm. And keep stirring and keep steering. Stirring, not steering. Steering would be with a car. It's always nice when you forget the words which you wanted to actually say. Okay, it gets a bit warmer. And as I hope the camera gets this, but as you see here, there is a little bit of fat coming out of the pignolia, because they are a kind of nut, and nuts contain fats, so you don't need actual fats to roast them, which is with pretty much every sort of nuts, walnuts, hazelnuts, almonds, or like here, pignolia. Yeah, this will take some time, so I might cut the video right here and bring you back in when it starts to get some color. Please, if you are cooking this at home, oh wow, I got a little bit startled by that. If you're watching this at home, keep stirring. Please, keep stirring so you don't burn the pignolia. So, I'll see you in a few seconds, I suppose. Or minutes, we'll see. As you can see, they started to get some color, so I turned the heat down a bit. They don't need very long now, I suppose. I don't know. Yeah, I will give them maybe 1 more minute and then I will get them out. As you can see, or here, do you hear that? It's actually frying, although we didn't use any oil. So yeah, as you see, nice and brown a little bit, so they get the full scent, the full aroma. Do you say aroma? I don't know. I will turn down the heat to 0 now, and I will say those are done. So I will put them into a little bowl for further use, because I can't cut them like this right now because they are hot. So yeah. Anyways, I will let them cool down, which will take a little bit of time. And afterwards I will show you how I cut the basil. Some more tedious work, but yeah, these look nice and brown and crisp. So looking forward to cutting these. Alright, see you in a few minutes. Alright, the pignolia have now cooled down a little bit, and well, the turn of order is important for some reason. So we'll start with cutting the pignolia and then adding them to the garlic in our plastic pot. So yeah, now to some more cutting. Normally you would need a mortar for this. Not the kind of shooty mortar, but a mortar made out of stone. And what is the other thing for the mortar called? I can't remember now. Yeah, it's a stone like a club. Maybe it's called a club. I will call it a club for now. And with that you have to stomp the whole ingredients of the pesto until it's a nice paste. Since I don't have a mortar, I don't have a stone mortar and I don't have a mortar to shoot with, so yeah. Yeah, I have to do it, well, manually, so I have to grind down the pignolia a little bit more than you would have to do if you got a mortar. If you have a mortar, if you're very lucky and got one from your mom, or you have one in your kitchen, then you have one fine supplied kitchen, I give you that. You don't need to grind the pignolia this fine. So this is just because I don't have a mortar. Well, I will get one eventually. If this turns out to be delicious, which I actually hope, I will get myself a mortar so I can do this more often and prepare some pesto. Of course, the cool thing is you only need to prepare it once and then you can use it several times, because you don't only make it for one portion, but for several portions, because it's quite a bit of work. And some more. Yeah, you see where this is going, right? Well, hopefully this is fine enough. For now, it shall suffice. Although I see a lot of more grainy bits. Yeah, let me give it another go. There are actually special kinds of knives where you can do this a lot more easily. If you get got one of those, well, hooray! You got yourself this whole thing a little bit easier. Anyways, now it's, yeah, I like it. So we will add it to the garlic in the little plastic pot. Boop. And boop. Yeah, and now to get all this in without making too big of a mess. Nope, this direction please. A boop. And a boop. Right. Come here you. Right. So, let's do this. Right, we have a mixture of pignolia and garlic right now. So now we can add a little bit of olive oil, just a little bit, like this. The rest we will keep for now. And yeah, I will use a small teaspoon. If you have a mortar, you do this in a mortar. We will now add a very little bit of salt, so just like this, should be enough. You can always add more salt on the pasta with a little bit of pepper, but never use too much salt, otherwise this whole thing will be a mess. So yeah. So what I have to do now is grind it a little bit, so stomp it with a teaspoon. At least it smells nice, but I don't know if I can actually get it, grind it down a little bit more. So this might be a bit more chunky than I actually want it to be, but well, if you don't have the kitchen utensils you need, well, tough luck. Actually, the stomping will bring out more taste from the garlic together with the oil. So this should be nice and hopefully good. Right, let's keep it like that. And yeah, let's do this. And now basil leaves. As you can see, it's quite a lot of basil, and I shall cut it like the rest, but in more portions because I don't want to make a big mess. So yeah, just start cutting it down into big stripes or whatever, but you need to get it in very small pieces, so well, you can do it chaotically like I do. And the smaller you can grind it, the better. Or not grind, cut it. We cut the basil. We don't grind it, we cut it. Yeah. The smaller the better. Right. I think you don't want to see me cutting basil leaves now for 15 minutes or more. So I will cut away again, put it into the plastic pot, cut the rest of the basil, and then get back to you when we can actually start mixing the whole paste and put in the cheese as well. So I will see you in a few minutes. Okay, the last bit of the basil is now fine enough. My hands look green, but oh well. So now let's put it in here. Good thing I washed my hands, and try to get the rest of the basil on the board in there as well. And don't do this at home or what? Right, quickly wash my hands. Of course, there's basil all over them. Get rid of the cutting board. And now it should look somewhat like this. So now what we have to do is add a little bit more olive oil, like this. And now first stir, not steer, and then try to stomp it a little bit, so the basil will be grinded down further and hopefully give up or give a little bit more aroma to the whole paste we're actually making. So this is why I had to cut it very fine, because I can't really, I can't stomp it that good. At least not in this little plastic pot. It has to be thoroughly mixed though, so that the pignolia and the basil and the olive oil are more or less mixed thoroughly. The more the better, of course. And yeah, this will be a lot of work. Let's add a little bit more olive oil, like this. And yeah, mix it a little bit and try stomping it on the walls of this little pot here. Maybe the pot was a little bit too big, but oh well. Too late now. First time I make this, so yep, this is how I roll. Anyways, since it is now nice and moist and more or less mixed properly, first of all, I think to actually stomp this better, let's get rid of the teaspoon and use the tablespoon. This way I can actually put some pressure onto the basil leaves and the cut pignolia. I only have to be very careful that I don't smear it outside of the boundaries of this little pot. Yeah. As I said, if you have a mortar, this will be a lot easier for you. If you haven't got a mortar like me, well, prepare for some very tedious work like this. Oh man, my hand starts to hurt. Alright, that's the price to pay. Okay, you know what? Let's start adding the cheese, because this is now quite well mixed and I need my little towel here. Of course the stove is looking like hell, but oh well. Right, let's add a little bit of the cheese. Should be enough for now, so we can actually mix it. Add a little bit more of the olive oil, just a little bit, so you can mix it easier. And now, you guessed it, mix it. First mix it and then smear it on the walls and try to mush it so it gets grounded down a little bit better. As you can see, this the color of this will be a little bit lighter than anticipated. You can of course use more basil, you can use more pignolia, or even use more cheese. That's up to you, because you want to make this to your liking. I like a lot of garlic, for example, so there's a lot of garlic in there. I like a lot of cheese, so there's a lot of cheese in there. And yeah, just make your own variants of this, like I do here. More cheese and a little bit more olive oil. There we go. We will use all of the olive oil when we come to an end. So this will mix nice with some pasta. Speaking of which, we will begin shortly to cook the actual pasta. But the preparing is, as you might have seen in the last few minutes, is a lot of tedious work, so yep. Right, let me bring you back when I mixed all of this in. I will mix the rest of the cheese in here, as well as the rest of the olive oil, and then the pesto itself is finished. So, see you in a few minutes when I've finished this. Alright guys, this is how the pesto looks when it's finished. Again, if you have a mortar, this will look a little bit less chunky. But yeah, I'm quite happy with how it came out. I haven't tasted it yet, but I will once the pasta is done. For the pasta, I have prepared a pot with water. I will put some salt in there, because pasta without salt just tastes horrible. For about 1.5 liters of water, about 1 tablespoon of salt in there. put the lid on it and wait until it cooks. And I'll bring you back when I put the pasta in there. So, see you in a few minutes. Alright, the water is nearly boiling now. So, let's get rid of the lid. And today's pasta is spaghetti. So, I weighed myself 170 grams because I'm quite hungry today. Normally about 150 to 175 grams of pasta per person. Normally spaghetti need about 8 minutes in the pot, and just put them in like this and blah. Don't break them because that would be barbaric. Italians don't like it if you break the pasta. What we will do though is go from maximum heat down to medium heat on the stove. So to boil the water, of course, we need a lot of heat, but to just cook the pasta, we don't. So I won't start, well, that was the timer. I won't start the timer of 8 minutes until all the pasta is actually sunk in the water, because that way I get the pasta al dente all over and not just in a few bits, and the last bits get crispy. I don't like that. That is just weird, and we don't want it, and yeah. It's always a bit of fiddling to deal with spaghetti, but oh well. But I like spaghetti every now and then, and it's great for pesto. Right, starting the timer, 8 minutes on the clock. And hopefully you remembered from last video, keep stirring. Really, keep stirring so the pasta doesn't burn anywhere. Even if it's submerged in water, it will burn on the ground if you don't stir from time to time. Keep it on medium heat, so about 2/3 if you have an electric stove, and if you have a gas stove, about half. That should do it. So I'll be back with you once the pasta is done. So see you in 7.5 minutes. Alright, the time is nearly up. 20 seconds left on the timer. So let me actually adjust the camera so you can see what's going on at my sink, apart from stuff. Let's cut out the timer, turn down the heat to 0, and then just get rid of the noodle water. Let them dry a little bit, and quite a bit of water coming out there. Then back into the pot. Right, Andy, I'm very sorry I didn't use gnocchi as you asked, but spaghetti look more like the flying spaghetti monster, as you can see. And I had a little craving for spaghetti today, so sorry. Let me adjust the camera back to the stove area. There we go. And now we will just take some spaghetti. And I now see a spoon is just a silly tool for that. So let me use a spoon and a fork. Not silly at all. Oh man. Yeah. You might want to use different tools for that. But I rule like that now, so hooray. So let's do that. Arrange them a little bit more visually appealing. And now we take our nice little pesto. I have no idea how savory this is, so I will just use 1 and let's say 1/2 tablespoons. Oh, okay. I made it, so I have to eat it anyway. So yeah, like this. Of course I saved some basil leaves, so like this. Hey, come here you. And like that. So here you go. Andy, thank you very much for your request. Here you go, spaghetti with pesto alla Genovese. Made by me, so a pasta variant again. So I hope you enjoyed this, so thanks so much for watching. And if you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, especially comment, I really like comments. Leave your requests in the comments below as well if you want me to make a certain pasta sauce like AndiReySim did. And maybe next week I already make your requests. So I certainly hope to see you next time. So until then, yours faithfully, the Pestafarian.